On to discuss Manchester City. They have they have announced their interest in a potential Ilkay Gündogan reunion. Not announced. They haven't announced their interest. Obviously, it's been reported that they're interested in Ilkay Gündogan reunion. Now, this comes with the news. Number one, the main news of yesterday was that he's gonna retire from Germany. But on top of that, it seems as if Hansi Flick, um, it seems not Hansi Flick. It seems as if Barcelona want Gundogan to leave, or and maybe there's mutual in terms of Gundogan wants to leave himself. Sources say, I've heard sources say that Hansi Flick, just doesn't fit in his plans in terms of Robert Lewandowski and Ilkay Gündogan both being in the same team in the way that Hansi Flick wants to play, that sort of high pressing, high intensity level of play. I don't think he fancies that. That's one report I heard. Another report I heard is that Hansi Flick actually wants Gundogan to stay, but the club, the higher ups, they're allowing him to leave if the right offer comes. Look, going to Ilkay Gündogan, my thinking was, you know, if Hansi Flick doesn't see him as I see him as a possibility, or Hansi Flick, um, doesn't want, doesn't think him and Robert Lewandowski fit together in the way he plays. I can see that also because I've been talking about Danny Olmo coming in. Danny Olmo coming in. You have Danny Olmo, who is primarily a midfielder. Yes, you can play him on the left hand side of a sort of possession based winger, but primarily the way Hansi Flick wants to play, he wants more direct vertical wingers that are threats in behind, like Nico Williams or would have been if we brought in like Lamine Yamal is, and that's not really what Danny Olmo does. If you play him at the wing position, he's going to be inverted. He's going to be cutting in onto his right foot and looking to create and looking to be part of a team that can dominate possession. That's the kind of winger that Danny Olmo would be, not someone who gives you a vertical threat. So what you do is you play Danny Olmo in more of the attacking midfielder roles, a little bit behind the striker, as that sort of number 10, has that free reign to, make runs into the box and be a threat to score goals, pick up pocket of spaces between the center backs and fullbacks that can lead to possibilities. He is that sort of cute and clever player that's able to do those sort of things. But the issue with that is, you put Danny Olmo in the in that you already have Pedri, who you can play in the sort of 8 role with the extreme passing range he has. But then you're pushing already Frankie De Jong back into the 6 role, and then you have Gundogan, who's where does Gundogan fit in that? Gundogan and Danny Olmo, they're gonna pick up very similar spaces, and then Pedri's there also, and Frankie De Jong is there also. You know, you know. Is Gundogan at this point can accept the role off the bench, or is the Pedri gonna be the one that's gonna be on the bench? That's just a little bit of a confusing situation that Hansi Flick, and maybe a situation that Hansi Flick just flat out doesn't want to deal with, so he just allows Gundogan to go. But I think it'll be the right move for Gundogan. I don't think he wants to be at the bench right now. At this point in his career, 33 years old, he finds himself now in a possibility he can chase, an enormous amount of money, and go to Saudi Arabia and just get the money and get generational wealth, or he could go back to Manchester City and continue winning trophies for them, because City are among some of the teams that are exploring the possibilities of signing him. So I think they find themselves in a I think Gundogan finds himself in a good position in terms of he can he has a good options all around, with City expressing interest in him for a reunion. I think he has good options all around. He can take that amount of money if he's satisfied with what he's done in his career, because he's accomplished everything. He hasn't won an international trophy primarily because he got injured for the 2014 World Cup. But he had a good international career in terms of club football. He's won everything, won the Premier League, won the Champions League. He's completed club football, but maybe he sees himself wants to take that next level, not take that next level, but continue on with green pastures in his career. And it's really up to what Hansi Flick I mean, not Hansi Flick, what Ilkay Gündogan wants at the end of the day. Um, Whether he deems, whether he wants to go back to Manchester City, because number one, maybe there was a reason why he left Manchester City in the first place. City seem interested, but is there interest on Gündogan? I don't know exactly why. Maybe Gündogan wanted a new project at Barcelona, and is he interested in going back? Maybe he got a little bit bored at Manchester City. Is he interested to going back there? Is that what he wants for his career? That's also a question that Gündogan wants to answer himself. Maybe he's just tired of, not tired, but maybe he's just done with Manchester City. He's won what everything needs. He's had his time. He sees his time at Manchester City being close. If that's the case, then I don't think there's flipping in Ilkay Gündogan's mind. But again, going back to his time at Barcelona, there's always been a little bit rambling. Ilkay Gündogan last season, you talk about some of the comments that he made, after El Clasico, almost questioning the passion of the players in the locker room for Barcelona in terms of not feeling enough pain. We saw how open he was in terms of criticism over the team, over the Champions League, where they got eliminated in the Champions League by PSG, specifically talking about the mistake that Ronald Araujo made in that match. That red card, the denying of obvious goal scoring opportunity red card. It was a big mistake by Ronald Araujo, right? But it's not something you really come out and be so definitive about. And yeah, I think Gündogan, there was a little bit moments that it was a little shaky because he came in, he came in almost came in on the reputation that he's built it for himself at Manchester City. But this is Barcelona. They don't care what you've done at Manchester City. You need to prove, yourself at Barcelona. You need to win trophies for Barcelona before you start criticizing other players, before you start criticizing the mentality of the team. Now, maybe Xavi allowed that, and Xavi kind of opened up a pathway for him to do that, and handing him a leadership position in terms of the squad. He is still one of the more experienced players in the squad. Last season, despite only being at Barcelona despite that being his first season at Barcelona. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I didn't see this coming, honestly. I did not see it. I thought he would, I thought there was a reason why he went to Barcelona. I think he wanted to. But at the end of the day, it's very confusing whether it's him wanting to go, whether it's Barcelona trying to force him out, going back to Manchester City. There's also another thing. Manchester City, they are exploring a possibility of a reunion, but does Gündogan want that? There's a lot of shaky things about this, like a lot of things that are a lot of more questions than answers, in my opinion, and it's something that I don't have a clear grasp on exactly what is going on. And that's a reason why I didn't talk about it yesterday when talking about the top headlines going on the soccer world. Because what came out of his mouth was he's retiring from German football. But then all the things about his future at Barcelona, it was just a bunch of sources and rumors and this and that. I was like, you know what? I'll cover this, tomorrow once I get to know a little bit more. And I tried to do even more research on it, and I still don't know exactly. Is it Gündogan that wants out? Is it Barcelona that trying to force him out? Does Hansi Flick want him to stay? Does Hansi Flick want him to go? Is he the one that doesn't want? There's a lot of conflicting rumors. And then Manchester City. Manchester City is interested in Gündogan, but is Gündogan interested in Manchester City? Does Gündogan want to fancy himself taking the money and going to Saudi? What is going on? There's so many more questions and answers, and we will get answers within the next few days. We will get answers because, the transfer window doesn't open forever. It's going to eventually close. So we will get answers within the next few days. And Gündogan's future is going to clear up even more. But if City are able to get a guy like Gündogan back in after loaning out Kevin Phillips, I think he's a good addition to the team. I think he'll immediately get back and take his place into the team. Doing what he does best, playing in that sort of role in between De Bruyne and Rodri, being the connector. I think he'll take it. I think he's an upgrade over Mateo Kovacic, who is a very, very good player. He scored that amazing goal against poor goalkeeping right away, but he scored that amazing goal against Chelsea this past weekend against his former team. But I think Gundogan comes in and takes his place. I don't think there's a drop off with Gundogan at all. I saw what he did, what he was able to display at the European Championship. He's still a brilliant player. So I think it'll be a great addition for Manchester City.